Hey everybody, David again, back with episode 3 of Zach's interview with Dr. Wood. Where we last left off, the two explored how our governmental systems have shaped our perception of the drugs, and in this episode, Zach and Dr. Wood dive deeper to analyze how culture both bolsters and hinders the reform movement. In addition, Dr. Wood discusses how mental health professionals have worked with lawmakers today to aid the movement, and along the way outline the ways we as citizens can work together to tear down these stigmas. Anyways, let's roll into the video. Later.
If you are not capable of examining your own life, right, it is going to be examined for you many times in our society without your knowledge. And that's a scary thought.
That's a fantastic takeaway that I hope other people come out of listening to this with, because the way you just worded it sparked something with me that absolutely I
forget who said it. I think it was Socrates, but I could be wrong. Said an unexamined life is not worth living. And if I think that you're asking, well, how do we go about our daily, how do we do this? I think it has to come in this very small space right here and right there. And then from there it emanates, right? And that accountability, that taking your personal inventory, that making changes or seeking people, that like-minded people that are supportive and not judgmental and can say, yeah, I'm working on that too. That sucks. I hate that about myself, or I don't know why I do that, and are willing to be there. And I think that spreads out. I mean, each of us is just this little cosmos, right, into this greater universe. And so if you're asking systemically, how does that happen? Wow, that's such a big issue. I believe you can't do something on the greater level unless it starts on the smaller level. And I just think that carrying those ideals and that sense of yourself forward into the world and teaching the people around us, our children, our students, our patients, not that we teach our patients, but we listen to them, we learn from them, and then kind of discuss. I think we've evolved that way. And when we're fearful, like the criminalization, right, of drug use, when we're fearful, with fear, there is no room at all for curiosity, because it's against the law. Your curiosity is going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And curiosity makes the student. Parents will often say, it is so curious, they're driving me crazy, they ask me all these questions, blah, 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 blah. And I say to them, don't ever cut off that curiosity from your child, because that is a student. The time that we are no longer curious is, a very sad time in our lives, and it's usually generated by fear and worry about X, Y, and Z. And so therefore we're not looking around and we're not engaging. So if you're looking for, a systemic, a way to change it, I believe that we can support organizations that are like-minded. We can support them in any way that we can. We can become involved. We can talk to legislatures. We can, domestic violence used to be something where people, were punished, right? And nobody offered any kind of groups, particularly to male perpetrators, And it took legislation. It took um, talking with judges and speaking with them and saying, this is a way of being in the world, and we can adjust this, and you will not see these people in your courtroom. So please, instead of sending them to jail, send them to treatment for 26 weeks and give them to us, and we will discuss with them, and we're not going to judge them. And um, that's an experience that I went through personally, educating judges and changing that system in New York City, in New Jersey, and Bergen County in particular. And, you know, people came at the end of their 26 weeks, and particularly men, and said, can we keep meeting like in our homes? And it was, I think it starts small, and then it becomes who you are in a way of life, and you change the system from within, and obviously support the greater systems that are like-minded as well. But I don't know, that's a tricky question.
I couldn't agree more. And it's such a cliched sort of bumper sticker that I see all around, but be the change that you want to see.
Oh yeah, me too.
Kind of sums it up.
Yeah, and I guess it does. And it sounds so simple, but for me, I think my brain kind of shuts down when I think of a larger scale, because that includes things that I'm not good at, like power and, like being in the spotlight of, changing laws, or being out there beating my drum, or I don't know. I don't know.
And I'm very curious to see how media is affecting some of these changes, because I've seen, in the last few years, huge changes. Myself, I was, finger wagged at me and really stigmatized in high school because they found out I was smoking pot, and I carried that with me for a long time. Like, oh, I'm a pothead and I'm not going to do anything with my life. And that's changed. And 20 years ago, I didn't have the power that is at everybody's fingertips at every day now. So it will be curious to see, as people are being that change, as they are communicating and finding community. Even that's the other great thing, is finding community worldwide now.
Your generation, you have that. I did not have that. So we had to seek it out. And it's funny that it's kind of, even when you don't have that unity that is found right here on the internet as certain groups or wherever, we still found one another. And again, being part of that generation that was really part of a revolution, it's funny to hear myself say, I don't know about the power part. But then when I look back on it, that whole generation was very powerful in changing, from music to our thinking, to politics, to social justice, to putting the spotlight on social injustice, on prejudice and racism. And I mean, the Chicago 7, you should watch that movie if you haven't done it already. Great film. It's a great film in reflecting the ideas of the time. But yeah. So I don't know on a larger level, because I guess I don't travel in those circles. I do know how to go through government on a lower level. I know how to talk with judges to get change. I know how to educate, and I know how to bring that passion, but I don't have the money, I don't have that power, so I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested though, what are some of the other answers that you're getting on that question?
Oh boy. So my first interview was with an anthropologist, Dr. Winkelman. He was really about abuse, addiction, changing policy. It comes back to changing patterns. Actually, well, that goes back to my previous question. I think you're the first person in this conversation that I asked that specific
Okay.
sort of thing. Naturally flowing conversation there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This has been an interesting discussion.
Yeah. So kind of to wrap up with our audience, probably most everybody has either been directly affected or knows somebody who has been affected by drug abuse and drug policy. As we talk about individuals being the seed for change, whether it's internal or on a broader social level, as a psychologist, what advice might you give people who have been affected negatively by the topics of our discussion today?
Oof. Take inventory, take personal inventory, understand perhaps there's no one asking you the right questions, but no one knows you better than you. I really am a proponent of everyone on some level, right? It might be very deep, knows what it is they want to work on. And I think, for children whose parents are imprisoned for, marijuana or, fight for that change. Excuse me. It's so deep and it's so complex and layered. I don't think there is any one answer, because my mind automatically goes from children to parents, right? Heart-wrenching for parents. Sorry. When people are not happy with their lives and are deep in addiction and are not functioning at their best, and our loved ones, just understand, I guess, understand that this is a drug. It is not your person. That person is the one you remember. You're not being fooled. You remember that person, and they will return, hopefully, with the right, the right interventions, the right, and it doesn't always have to be an external intervention. But I think many times the support that people get through, places like 12-step programs and self-help is phenomenal, and is very, very powerful for the person in that situation. So I would just give advice to not forget the person that you remember before all of this happened, and to move forward and know that change can, we can have change. It's difficult. What I think is important about a conversation like this is I hope that it reaches generations, like 2 generations younger than myself, because really, I'm at that point in my life where I'm passing the baton, right, to you, to people younger than yourself, and, fight the good fight, because it's well worth it. As a citizen of the world, it's worth it. So not just in your own family and your own little piece of space, just be true to yourself and know that you can those changes will take effect eventually. And if you are ever in a position of power, oh my goodness, you know, if you know how to enter into that arena and play that game in the way that it needs to be played, please do it, because it's only going to benefit all of us.
I couldn't agree with that more. Very interesting. I was listening to a podcast with the gentleman that has been spearheading kind of the work with MDMA and PTSD in the veteran population, and he started out totally different. I believe as a psychologist, I don't remember for sure. But after he saw drug laws he didn't agree with, he ended up getting his doctorate in public policy, because he realized that change must come from the inside.
Yes.
And so he needed to know how to navigate the system to champion this medicine that is now science finally showing is helping people. So
yes, and I think that is so important. I mean, I think, yes, it's fine to understand the brain and psychiatry and neurology and so on and so forth, and psychopharmacology, but now so many people get stuck in that little place. And even though we can see that it's far reaching and the changes need to be made on so many levels, like social policy, we're not equipped to enter into that, right? We're just sitting here saying, yeah, So I think that is awesome that that person did that. And I would suggest that to anyone. If you can manage to get through 2 rigorous programs, either, be an attorney, get that out of the way, so you can move on for social changes, or social policy. And there are a lot more majors in health administration now. And don't even get me started on insurance companies. So all kinds of policies can be affected by someone that has that passion and the knowledge. And I think that's a great second degree to get. That would be awesome.
Wonderful. Well, I've got to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me and share your voice and your ideas with our listeners, which will extend beyond Phi Theta Kappa and the Phoenix College chapter, and reach out into the world. And so thank you. I'm sure that our thoughts are affecting change.
One can only hope.
Yes.
And take the action.
Yes.
Take the action to see the change that you want to make. Yeah, take that action.
Wonderful closing note. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks.
Wood.
Thank you, Zach.
Good night.
Yeah, you also. Bye.
Bye.